Hi, welcome to Artists in Residences, the Westport Library's virtual artist series. I'm Carol Erger-Fast, and I'm exhibit curator at the library. Today, Miggs Burrows talks with artist Elaine Clayton. Describing Elaine as an artist really doesn't tell the whole story. Yes, she's a painter, and she's known for her murals and portraits, but she's also an author of several books for children and adults. She's an illustrator, a reiki healer, a psychic reader, a medium, and a teacher. Maybe you've been lucky enough to have taken one of her popular stream drawing classes, like the one she did at the library for a couple of years. This is where she helps students look inward and learn to experience the joys and also the power of being creative. So let's join Miggs and Elaine, who, if we're lucky, she can share some of her strategies for how to deal with this crazy time.
Oh. Yeah, thanks, Carol. Yeah, and welcome, Elaine. We didn't, maybe Carol doesn't even know that we're talking to you, you're in Atlanta, Georgia.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. But my heart is still with you there too. I came to Atlanta. Let me see if I can give you a little view of Atlanta. I came to Atlanta. Both of my sons went to Staples, and can you see? Are you able to see the gorgeous, almost subtropical day I have out there?
Yes, yeah.
Why? Okay, this is partly why I came here. I'm standing here. I'm going to just slowly turn around so you can get a little shot of what was once the music room in this historically protected elementary school building in Atlanta, Georgia, which I thought, I'm just panning around the main room of this elementary school building, the main room of this music room. When my youngest graduated from Staples, I thought this would be a good idea to have a little change of scene and, just come be in this kind of balmy weather like this near my dad, who turned 90 in July, with the idea that I would be back and forth a lot, spend my time in Connecticut and Westport area and here, which I was doing until the COVID thing kind of, made that a little harder.
Yeah, so you live in a school. You live in a school building or in a classroom, right?
Yeah, I'm living in these two giant classrooms, which were made into a loft apartment. The whole building is this big section of lofts on a really green, plush, really old school setting with fruit trees and, it's just really nice, So when I go outside with the dog, we go check the fruit trees. We have we have a couple of peach trees, and I have a fig tree out there that I talk to. And I had like a ton of figs last summer. There's an apricot tree. I think mulberries. I actually baked something with mulberries. I think that's the kind of berry tree it was, those big blackberries.
Wow.
So for someone who loves nature, I'm kind of bringing nature from out there in here a lot. And here's a painting I'm working on behind me. You can kind of see I like to paint. My paintings often have elements of nature in them, even if they're abstract. So this is good for me, a little bit of these giant windows, getting a view of the trees out there in the sunlight.
Can you get a little closer to the painting or just show the,
Yeah, and this painting is not finished, but let me just tell you why I'm doing this. So, can you see a little bit there?
Yeah, it's beautiful. No, I see. What I love, your paintings always at first glance, they're very floral and fluid and spiritual. And then you realize, oh, there's a tiny little person sitting in a tree or something. And, there's always something going on.
Well, here's the thing. I'm going to just tell you honestly, I'll talk and let you kind of look in there. I was feeling sort of distraught, which we often are these days. And I had a few days where I was really grappling with it. A few people told me about people that were in their family who died of COVID. One of them was a cousin of a good friend from Fairfield County, whose, their cousin was only like 54. And I was so upset about it. And it was a trigger for all these other things that are upsetting about this whole time. And so I really just had grief for a few days. And I realized that as I pulled out of the, all those grief stages, where you're angry and you're in denial and, all the stages you go through. So I had to fight through some of those emotions. And when I came out of it finally, I realized, oh, I have to accept that this is where we are, but I don't have to stay in misery. I'm going to paint myself. I don't know if you can see, there's a person back there. You mentioned, actually I put two people because I decided I didn't want to be alone. But I decided I am going to envision myself how I want things to be, not how I think they are right now. It's using creative visualization. We may temporarily be in situations we don't like. We may be doing all kinds of things we didn't think we had to endure, or we may live in ways we don't mean to live, or have to do things we don't want to have to do, but we can still see ourselves doing the things we want to do, even when we don't get to do those things. Like college kids, they don't want to be doing online college, so they may not go back to college this fall. They may say, no, I don't want to do that. So we may not be getting our ideal situations, but we don't have to stop envisioning ourselves in our ideal situations. And so I turned a corner. I started painting my ideal situation, which in this case, it's me in an orchard with somebody. I don't know who it is. You want to be in there, Miggs? I'll put you in there.
Yeah, it sort of looks like me.
Okay. Why? The guy's got curly hair like you, so it can be you.
And I'm holding a basket, or somebody's holding a basket, and
it's a fruit. It's a basket of fruit, because I thought fruit is so symbolic of abundance. Sure. And you can see there's a storm brewing. I'm not pretending everything is perfect, because but the storm is not going to take over.
Right.
But anyway, this painting isn't finished.
Okay, I'm curious, when you start something like that, do you plot it out in your head? I mean, I know we're going to get into stream drawings in a little while, but is this sort of a stream? Is it a stream painting where you just sort of let the piece paint itself, and some force moves your brush, or do you have it all plotted out in your head what you're going to do?
A lot of this painting, let me see, can you see, are you able to see? I don't know, I've painted over so much of it, but there are marks here that are streamed. And by when we use that term stream painting or stream drawing, it's stream of consciousness. So I literally close my eyes and just feel my way, and I don't really know what's going to happen. And I do start that way all over the canvas. And then I kind of just go into it and use a large sponge or brush and just do all kinds of stuff. It's like third eye. You don't really know what you're doing. It's a motive. I'm feeling my way. And then I go into it and start seeing stuff and playing with color. And you don't know what's going to happen. But as artists, we do make plans. We do have discretion and discernment, and we want to make things visually the way we want them to be. So that happens too. But this has many layers. I mean, there were many stages of this painting where it was all abstract. And then I decided I wanted figures in there. And it is not finished. So normally I don't even share something that's not finished yet. But I like that. I like that I wanted to share it because it's symbolic of turning this corner during this pandemic. And I think it's a powerful message. And I told my sons too, to keep that in mind right now, that, whatever it is you think you're doing that you don't like and don't want to do, instead of resisting all this, always keep your ideals in the forefront. And no matter what you're doing, envision what you love. and never drop your ideals and never drop visions of what you love, even when you're not getting to see that. You think you're not seeing it around you. There's always something you love, you know, like when we looked out the window, you can always find something that's beautiful.
Yeah, that's a
But
great,
yeah.
that's a great approach. And I mean, positive we all need, and your paintings convey that. I mean, they are very kind of fanciful is not probably there's a justice, but you know, the fact that there's people, you know, inhabiting this weird spiritual space is very cool. I'm curious, at the beginning, you know, we saw a blackboard and you're in a classroom and there's a blackboard.
Oh yeah.
Is there anybody give a
I'll
quick
back up.
tour? Because I know people, if there anyone's like me, I'm curious of what's written on the blackboard and
Okay, let me tell you about the blackboard. I had so much fun with this blackboard. So when I first moved in, what was so cute about it, well, I love that the blackboard was still here. And I can't show you, but the piano was still here too. The piano still has the, you know, the tape for the notes, with the alphabetical letters to teach the kids the notes. But I had I'll just show you really fast. I had the piano moved to the other room because I needed my drawing table. Can you see the drawing table area?
Yes, yep.
Yeah, the piano was over there. And I hated moving it because I bet the piano was exactly where it had always been. But I needed the drawing table there. But I had it rolled into the other room. And so this chalkboard was here. And when I first came, the people that were here before me left me, all the stuff was drawn and written from the 15 years, I think, that the previous people were here. And they left me, you know, welcome Elaine and all this stuff. And then since I came, I've written stuff, and I have had everybody who comes in here leave me messages, and I encourage them to draw. And sometimes they do. Let's see if we can find a drawing somebody made. Oh, I have a really fun one I like. Let's see if I can get over there. Are you able to see? I don't know if you can see that. Can you see those?
Oh, perfect. Yeah.
Yeah.
Alistair and Abby. Yeah. That's
cool. And
cool.
there's a truck. Yeah. So, I mean, there's just some kind of fun stuff here.
Yeah, because who gets to do that? I mean, you know, if somebody visits, I mean, they can draw on a little piece of pad of paper, but this is like such a great, like, landscape of personalities and everything.
Yeah, and it's so wise, you know, like someone wrote something in Chinese, and you know, they write their favorite quotes, and you know, I loved it. One day some guys were delivering something, and the guy goes, I went to school here, and his eyes lit up, and, you know, so I made him leave a message there too, you know, but that was really special for me to have someone who went to school here come in the music room. So yeah, this is great for an artist, you know, because if I have an idea, I run over here and write it down on the chalkboard, and, you know, so it's a really good working space. I've had a good time, and I love that it's really well lit. So when I wake up in the morning, I come out here, and I'm just right here in this space.
I'm wondering if we could.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry. No, I interrupted. I wondered before we run out of time, which, believe it or not, time's zipping by. I could just quickly go to your website and show some of your. I think this is. Can we see this on screen now? Your website.
Yeah, I see it there. Thank you.
I don't know if it'll. Doesn't. Oh yeah, here we go. So children's books, just to give an idea of some of the books you've written. And it's great. Oh, a trip to the museum.
Yeah, I had so much fun doing picture books, and
and there's Senator Murphy, right? Is that Senator Murphy?
I know, he came to the Westport Library, and you know, it was so sweet about that. I have so much respect for him. And he came to the drawing on the Saugatuck, sketching along the Saugatuck. You know, we used to do that I think we did that 6 or 7 years, every summer. Children and adults came, and it was the most dreamy, most beautiful thing the library did. And he came, and he said, you know, I came because I have a son who loves to draw. He loves to do art. And it was the most wonderful thing that he did that. I know he did that because he really valued that his own child loved the art. So I was really moved by that.
Here's a couple. We'll just go quickly. Some of your spirit drawings, paintings. They're more. These are some are more inhabited by more creatures and people, and they're very. They're almost like out of fairy tales. And
you know, those are done when I'm really in meditation. And in those I have no idea what will come, because a person just commissions me. They say, "Will you do?" I call them spirit paintings. I just have a name for them because they're just very spiritual. But they'll say, "Will you do one for me or for someone I love?" And I don't know anything about the people, and they just tell me what size they want, and I just meditate, and whatever comes, I'll paint. And then then I send it to them, and that has been the most fun thing to do. I really love doing that. It's really magical for me, and they love them too. So that's been really a great way to do art.
And there's just some of your sketches. This is stream drawings, which maybe you'll demo for us in a minute or two. Is an example of stream drawing, which you can explain. Here's some people doing a bunch of people in a stream drawing workshop, I guess you would call it, which is really a very rewarding, because people, everybody you encounter, when I encounter, say, "Oh, I'm not an artist, I can't draw." It's not about, being able to draw a perfect vase of flowers. It's just releasing whatever that thing is in yourself, or being able to observe through your subconscious, I guess. Is that the way? How would you describe it? You should describe it.
Yeah, I think you described it really well. I think what happens is we're natural mark makers. We're just born naturally meant to change a surface or change a situation. We're just creators born. And then when we hit the age of reason, around 7 or 8, for some reason, rendering becomes really important. You might remember wanting and really valuing drawing something that looked exactly like something. But before that, we were just getting in trouble for drawing on the walls and things like that, and I don't know if it just time at school gets taken up by learning other things, or if we just ourselves value rendering more at some point. But for whatever reason, we just stop really expressing freely for the most part. And so people, they will say to me, "Oh, I love drawing, but I'm not good at it, so I don't do it." And, the only ones that really still express freely are the youngest ones amongst us. And so I thought, after teaching kids for so long as an artist in residence and independent progressive schools, I realized, we don't want to lose this. We want people, I really want to see adults express and stay in touch with that creative spirit, because nobody's happy unless we're creating. If you lose your creative sort of expression, no one's happy. You're not alive fully. You're not thriving. You might do a lot of things, but unless you're in touch with that creative ingenuity, we're just half alive.
And the great thing about this stream drawing, which maybe we can start demonstrating, is that it's accessible to everybody. So nobody has to feel like, "Oh, I didn't go to art school, I'm not an artist, I can't draw a tree." This is just such a great expressive way. So why don't you lead us through a 5-minute, 6-minute workshop here?
Okay.
And people, if you're watching, anyone who's watching this video, play along and just get a little piece of paper and do it. It's very easy, and you can do it in real time.
It is so easy. So I guess I'm going to, it might be a little confusing for a second, because I'm going to change the orientation of my, so that you can see better.
Oh my God, I'm falling overboard. Okay.
Did you get dizzy?
Yeah,
okay. So we'll do that. And then I'll just show you. And it's true. All you need is just a pencil, nothing special. I think a pencil's better, because psychologically, if you use a pen, you think you're committing yourself too much.
Right.
I will, So if you use a pencil, and it can be a piece of scrap paper. I think the bigger, the better. So at least 8 by 10 is better. You don't want something so small that you're feeling restricted. So if you just have a piece of typing paper, but the thing that makes it easy, so you don't have to feel criticized and you don't block yourself, is you use the hand that you don't normally use. So you use your non-dominant hand, and so you don't have control anyway. Unless you're ambidextrous, if you use both hands equally, which some people are really lucky and they do, then you don't have control anyway. So I usually use my right hand. So right now I have to use my left hand because I don't want to control. Because if I control, I'm going to get self-conscious and I'll stop myself. And my right hand is off duty right now, unless it helps by holding the paper down so it won't move.
Okay.
Okay, that's the first part that lets me be free. And then the second part is I close my eyes. So that also seems like, well, how can you see what you're drawing if you close your eyes? And that's exactly the point. If I see what I'm drawing, I'll start to criticize it and I'll stop. And half of why we love drawing is the feeling of freely expressing. It feels so good to freely express. And when you see toddlers, or babies when they're at the high chair and they're going like that with the food on the high chair surface, they're making it, look good to themselves.
Yeah, it's finger painting.
Yeah, it just feels good, so closing your eyes so you just remember how it feels to express, and making loops and zigzags and things, that stuff feels good. So it's a sensual thing to draw. It's very sensual. Also listening to the pencil on the paper, that's very that sounds good too. So let's do it. So this is going to be kind of like in the book Making Marks. I'm not doing a commercial, but I'll just show it real fast. Okay, this explains it in this book Making Marks. It's Discover the Art of Intuitive Drawing. It was out with Simon & Schuster a few years ago. It explains this. I call it the frozen pond part of the intuitive stream drawing, because you don't lift your pencil up. You just pretend you're like skating along, and you might do all kinds of different things. But the reason why you don't lift it up is because you'll stop yourself then too. So you ready?
Yep, go ahead. We'll be quiet. We'll listen to the pencil.
My eyes are closed. Yeah, let's see if you can listen. And my eyes are closed, remember. And I'm using my non-dominant hand. I have no idea what it will look like. I'm just going to get into how it feels. And I'm, using various kinds of pressure. Now, I have to say, it does feel really good. That thing where sometimes someone's pencil snaps when they're using it, it'll just break. Sometimes you got a lot of tension when you're drawing or writing. We have no idea how much tension we're holding. So the first thing you're going to say probably when you see this is it's a scribble, right? Hey, you did a scribble. Or the other word that I call the D word, it's a doodle. You can look at it this way too. Can you see that?
Well, didn't Miro or some of those people make a living out of that?
Absolutely. I don't like the word doodle because it may let people draw freely so that they don't put pressure on themselves, but it's also kind of a non-word.
Yeah, it's demeaning in a way. Yeah,
it's demeaning, and so I don't like it. That's why I called the stream drawing, because it's actually a profound thing when you're drawing anything. It's a profound act. So now the second stage of a stream drawing is gazing. So gazing is a visual, intuitive thing. If you ever got in trouble when you were in school, like if this was actually a classroom going on right now, I would not be listening. Probably I'd be like looking at the trees out this beautiful window, because I'm gazing in a daydream. And that's what you do with this.
Yeah.
You're not looking like you're on task, like this is an assignment. You're daydreaming into this. So you don't have to. You could just use color and go in and color like the coloring book craze, because that's wonderful to do. But what I like to do mostly is gaze into this and just sort of play with it, have a playful spirit. A creative spirit is a playful spirit. Like children are playful and creative. That's where the imagination really lets things happen. And I'm a figurative artist mainly. So usually I start seeing people. And I start, looking into this thing, and I can't usually help it. I'm seeing actually a few things, and I'll share with you what I'm seeing. But that's the next part is gazing.
Is this sort of the
And
idea of like looking at the clouds and saying, "Oh, I see a giraffe in those clouds," or
Yeah, and visual intuitive intelligence is that it's seeing into, like when you dream, your physical eyes are not working, but your subconscious or your spiritual intuitive awareness is showing you a movie of what you do know, of things that you may know or may be aware of, and then you wake up and you process what was that about, and you can analyze it, and you can understand the feelings within it and make sense of it. That's not different from what intuitive intelligence is. You get a visual impression mixed with a feeling, and you start to make sense of it, and you have a volume of very helpful information that, had you paid no attention, you're missing out on a lot there, right? A lot of times our brain hasn't figured out something, but your stomach tells you, like you go somewhere and you think, I don't like being here because my stomach doesn't like it, but you don't figure out later, and until later why. Your brain doesn't know till later. But if you pay attention to your sensations, you get the information sooner.
Okay, well, we've only got like a minute or two left, so
Okay.
could you
Let me show you some of the.
and then
Yeah. Let me show you just for fun.
So you just found little faces in there.
Well, can you see a lion that I found in there?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm gonna have fun coloring that lion, and then I found. Can you see?
Yep.
I thought this was kind of maybe a mother and a child.
Okay.
I didn't put the child's face here yet because actually I felt like it was almost like a COVID mask right there. I don't know yet. I hadn't figured out, but it looks like a mother and child. But and then I would be turning this way and looking at this in 4 different directions, and then it comes to life in all these other ways too. But it's actually really fun to play with and spend a little bit of time and then coloring it in, so that by the time I'm finished with it, this is like
the cooking show. We have to show the finished product. It's been in the oven for 3 hours, but we have to show the finished product.
Well, actually, if you want to, I could do a screenshot of some stuff after it's finished and send that to you.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And you could put it in there if you want
absolutely. Oh, great. That would be great. We can put it in that before. Yeah. So people, when they're watching this now, will see that right now.
Yeah, because when somebody asks me to do a meditation like this on their behalf, I'll spend like half an hour doing this and writing all these notes. And then they'll have a session with me, and I'll just say, hey, I don't know anything about what's bothering you or anything, but can I just share with you what I saw? And then I'll take a screenshot of it and then show them the imagery. And that's kind of how those sessions go. It's just simply sharing. It's no different from, if you said, will you have a dream for me? I won't tell you what I'm worried about, but try having a dream for me and tell me what your dream is. It's sort of being playful, but actually those things are really helpful. Stuff like that is fun to do for each other.
I want to thank you, Elaine Clayton, and this is a phenomenal look into your classroom and your.
Well, thank you for having me so much. I'm really grateful. I loved it. I mean, it did go by too fast.
Yeah.
I hope
not enough time.
Because I kept talking.
Well, hopefully, it'll prompt people to maybe look at your book and do stream drawing, which is a great, I think, therapeutic way to pass the time. So, and I'll hand it back to Carol so she can wrap this up for us. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. I'm going to go grab my paper and pencil right now.
I love it. Share it with me.
I wish I had it. I would have done a log. But anyway, thanks again. And just to, wrap it up, for all things about the library, including our online offerings, westportlibrary.org, and hope to see you there soon. Bye.
Great. Thanks.